Set, go. All right, what do we know about parallelograms? Do you guys remember?
Opposite sides are
Congruent?
Yeah.
Opposite sides are parallel, opposite angles are congruent, diagonals, bisect. What I missed? Consecutive angles are supplementary. If one angle is 90, they're all 90. And most of those can be used to prove a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. And the one that we added on for that was if one pair, instead of both pairs of opposite sides being congruent or both pairs of opposite sides being parallel, you can just say that one pair of opposite sides is congruent and parallel. All right. So today we're talking about rectangles, rhombi, and squares. What's rhombi? That's plural for rhombus. Diagonals. Okay. Are the diagonals, what do we know about the diagonals of a parallelogram? Bisect. So like that's equal to that. Are they congruent to each other? No. But in a rectangle, because everything's kind of not slanted and lined up perfectly, guess what I know about the diagonals? They are congruent to each other. Kind of hard to show that. Anyway, yeah, the diagonals are congruent in a rectangle. Because if you think about it, it makes sense. Like this is pretty far away from this. Like they're kind of leaning away from each other. But these are kind of close. But on a rectangle, since everything's 90 degrees, it kind of lines up. All right. Okay. On a rhombus. So a rhombus is a type of parallelogram, right? So we already know that the diagonals bisect. But also, the diagonals don't just bisect each other, they bisect the angles. So like, this angle is congruent to this angle. And that angle is congruent to that angle. And because the lines are parallel, this angle would be congruent to that angle. This angle would be congruent to that angle because they're alternate interior lines parallel. So really all four of these angles are the same, and all four of these angles are the same. Also, I didn't. Maybe I'll cheat and use the, let's see if we got a rhombus up here. Do we have a rhombus?
Where is it?
No.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
That's just
No.
a square.
They're on the top. It's
Well,
slanted.
Well, it can be.
You can slant it.
you can make it anything you want it to
Does
be.
that look right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Sure.
Sorry.
Pretty close.
You made it find one.
Now, if you draw it right, it should make 90-degree angles. See, mine's a little bit off over here. It's too wide this way. Yeah, so not only do diagonals bisect each other, not only do they bisect the angle, but they are also perpendicular. So they make little 90-degree angles in here. So basically that makes little right triangles. So guess what kind of problems they're gonna ask us if we got a right triangle? Yes, Pythagorean theorem questions. That'd probably be the end of the lesson. Yeah, but if you have a right triangle, probably in geometry they're going to ask you to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So just keep that in mind. Clear as mud.
Sorry.
If two consecutive sides are congruent, then guess, and it's a parallelogram, guess what we know? Yeah, well, yes, so what shape would it be?
Rhombus.
Rhombus. If two consecutive sides, because we know opposite sides are congruent on a parallelogram, right? So if these two are congruent, then they're all congruent, and it's a rhombus. Rhombus. Okay, are you guys ready? 272? There. Great.
That's why you should have math class first out. Because nobody's writing the word.
You have to turn on your brain this early. You have to think
Mm-hmm.
too
period is 8th period, I'd say.
Yeah, because some people.
Well, 8th period they usually throw you guys an easy one, right? But the end of the day is the hardest, I'd say. What do you guys got 8th period?
Well, I have basketball practice.
But
seventh period.
Wait.
Yeah, so you don't have to think.
7 periods English. Yeah.
I don't know,
Like
yeah,
our 8th period.
Sebastian has foreign language.
Oh yeah, that's
That
fine.
must suck.
Most of the time we don't have to be active.
Exactly.
Okay, number 1, we need to get this done. Go, 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 go. Yes. Mark, say go.
Always do it when
Go, 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 go. Okay. If PR, so it says it's PQRS is a rectangle. That's what they tell us in the directions. What is QS if PR is 12? 12. Diagonals are congruent. See, they're being nice to us so far.
you jinxed it.
It was number 1, so I don't want to get my hopes too high. Number 3, QS is 14. So what would PT have to be? 7. Because the diagonals are congruent and because they're cut in half, PT would have to be half of QS. Number 5, find the measure of each angle in the rectangle. Okay, A. Angle BCD. So they only give us one of the angles.
Is that alternate interior angles or no?
Yeah. Since this is a parallelogram, we can say alternate interior angles are congruent. Rectangles are parallelogram. Let's see. It's 35. So they tell us these are all congruent, which we kind of should know that because it's a rectangle and they bisect each other, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so where did they put the angles at? 1, 2, 3.
I think it was really nice.
Okay, so if this is 35, what's this got to be? It's supposed to be a 1, 35. These are alternate interior angles, so I think that's A, right? Angle 1 equals 35.
Oh, it's B.
Oh, that's B?
The first one is measure angle BCD. Which is
Oh, I just
bottom
thought they were going to say 1, 2, 3.
right.
Oh, BCD.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have to.
Okay, BCD, you guys see it, is BCD. This one right here. Since it's a rectangle, 90 degrees, right? Let's put 90 degrees. Okay, C is angle 2. Well,
Isosceles triangle.
Wow, Trey.
they're asking for angle 2. Oh, because it is an isosceles triangle? Yeah, we can use that. There's kind of, is that what you meant?
No. I was actually going for angle 3. I forgot about angle 2.
Okay, if this is 35 right here, what's this got to be right here?
35.
No.
180
Oh, yes.
minus
No,
30.
sorry, it's a rhombus. Okay, what's the big angle? I just drew it, 90, because it's rectangle. 90 minus 35 is 55. Because it's an isosceles triangle, there's more than one way to figure this out.
The
So
base are the same.
the base angles have to be the same.
Good job, Trey.
It's all process.
This is why you can make, this is why you're going to teach you next time.
Okay,
Freaking
on angle 3, we can use isosceles triangle. If this is 35, what else has to be 35?
The other one.
So how can I find this one?
Subtract from
110.
Right. 180 minus 35 minus 35 is 110.
Check this here.
Even when I'm on grade. Number 7, find the measure of each angle in the rhombus. What do we know about rhombi? sure I drew it any better than I did the first time. No, probably not. Okay, it says 60. What do we know about a rhombus? Do you remember what we said? 90-degree angles. What else?
Diagonals
Bisect
bisect each other.
the angle. Diagonals bisect each other because it's a parallelogram. But the diagonals also bisect the angles. So basically, all these little triangles in here are congruent. Do you guys know how I know that?
Side to side.
Side angle side. They all have the same side angle inside.
Angle, side angle.
Yeah, also angle side angle. Okay. So if this is 60 right here, what's this angle going to be? 60. And these two, because they're alternate interiors, are also 60. How could I find these guys down here?
That one's. Huh?
60.
60, 90,
60 plus 90 minus
30.
20.
30. So 30 and 30. Also 30.
30 and 30 and also 30. You need like a coat hanger.
Yes.
Coat rack.
I think you could do it. You stand there in the corner.
I'm not Beauty and the Beast there. I can just stick out my head.
Oh, I'm standing like a cobra.
He looked at you.
Well, one of the things we learned is D and F. So D is the midpoint. All right. Now we got to actually look at number 7, see what they're asking. FGH. Okay, that's this one right here. FGH. What would that angle be right there?
120.
120. Because it's two 60s together. EFG. Erase that. EFG. What would this angle right here be? 60. Angle 4. We kind of already did that one. Down here, right? So it's just 30. Angle 5. What's that? 90. Angle 6. 60. Looking at number 8 here, it says, same picture. HI is 14, EG is 16. I should have drawn this bigger. You just want to see some magic here.
Oh,
Well,
right there.
that's
Yes.
gone. Yuck. HI is 14.
Just made it weird.
EG is 16. Okay, EG is this whole guy right here, this whole diagonal. So what would this be right here?
8.
And then they're probably going to ask you stuff like, how long is this? So how would we do that?
I don't think they did it.
Did they not?
No, they just.
They asked us the easy stuff.
Okay. Oh, I thought they were going to
Wow, Abby.
GI.
Might be easy for you.
Hopefully you can divide them too.
Yeah, Yeah, you're right. Abby's right. They're just asking on the diagonals. Okay.
Some people aren't capable.
Okay. Number 9. Explain why Jklm is a square. Okay. On number 9, that picture on the bottom right. How do we know it's a square?
Diagonals bisect each other.
Diagonals bisect makes it a parallelogram, not a square.
Right.
Right angle makes it a rhombus.
Equal sides equal angles.
That makes it. Well, yeah. How do we know? To prove it's a square, we have to know it has equal. It's a tricky one. Good thing it's not. To prove it's square, we need to know all the sides are the same. In other words, it's a rhombus, and we know all the angles are the same. That's a rectangle.
But because the one is 90 and that's an isosceles triangle, and the other ones are 45 each, and then
Okay, that would take a lot to say. So we know it's. You could do it that way. We know it's a rhombus because the diagonals are perpendicular. That's one of the things we learned today. We know it's a rectangle because the diagonals are congruent to each other. Therefore, it's a square. So just say diagonals are perpendicular and congruent. That would be good enough. We'll call that good.
What's the perpendicular side?
It looks like an upside down T.
Oh, yeah,
but you could essentially prove that angle, right?
Yeah, but you'd have to be more specific on how you know the angles are 45. I mean, if you want, you can just say they're 45, but that's kind of cheating. They are 45. Okay. You want to start the other one, or you want to join us? Huh? We're on page 273, yeah, number 11, I guess. Okay, MN is 8 square root of 2. Do I have to draw this? Probably should use a smart board. How long would MK be? Well, it'd be twice that length, right? MN is from here to here. MK is all the way. So what's 2 times 8 squared root of 2?
16 square root 2.
It is 16 squared root of 2. That's correct.
Yes, sir. No, I guess.
It's kind of like 8x times 2 is 16x. Anyway. You just multiply the normal numbers together. On B, how long would JL have to be?
16 square root 2.
Same thing, yes. These are easy because we're not in the B section yet. C, how long is LN?
8 square root 2.
It's like a triple jinx. Number 13. I might regret having assigned these. We'll see.
Yes.
Okay, the options are always, sometimes, or never. This is not the B section, but it probably should be. These usually trick people. The consecutive angles in a rhombus are congruent. Let's look at pictures. Okay, that would be like these two.
No.
Sometimes.
Okay, a rhombus can also, a square is a type of a rhombus, so sometimes. Normally, no, I'd say, but if the rhombus also happens to be a square, then yes, those would be congruent. See why these are tricky? 15, a parallelogram with congruent consecutive angles is a rectangle.
Do we have to explain why?
No.
So we don't?
Oh, it does say explain, doesn't it?
Oh.
Explain your reasoning. I didn't read that part.
Mark out.
We don't have to do that though.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I kind of said it already because Rhombus is a square sometimes. Okay, 15. If you have consecutive congruent angles, does it have to be a rectangle?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. Do we know it's a parallelogram? Yes. It's a parallelogram. It's got consecutive. Well, if these two are congruent on a parallelogram, what do they have to be? 90, because they have to have 180. They have to be the same. And if it's parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent. So, yes, always. How'd they explain that one? If supplementary consecutive angles of parallelogram are also congruent, they must be right angles. That's not very okay. Number 17 lists 3 characteristics of the diagonals of a. I guess we're not doing always, sometimes, right? Or never anymore. What do we know about diagonals in a square? Okay, a square is a parallelogram, it's a rectangle, and it's a rhombus. So we kind of learned one about each of those.
They're congruent, they bisect each other.
And
Perpendicular.
perpendicular. Congruent, bisect each other, perpendicular. Good job, guys. Gold medal.
Self-dependent.
Like, what was the last one?
Perpendicular. Okay. So 21, this is a rectangle. So what do we know about rectangles? The diagonals are congruent to each other, not just bisect. So if QS is 7x, what is PR? How are QS and PR related to each other? They're the same. So 7x equals 3x plus 12. We're not supposed to find, we're not really, x is not really what we're trying to find, it's the length of the sides that we're trying to find. So anyway, we gotta keep going after. So 4x equals 12, therefore x is 3. So how long must this side be? 21. So that means the other diagonal is 21. So you can just put 20. I guess you could put 21 twice, but you just put 21. Okay. What do we know about angle QTR and angle, oops, I'm on the wrong problem, never mind. QT is what we're supposed to find. Oh, we're supposed to find QS on the first one, my bad. QT, if QS is blah, 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 and PR is blah, blah, blah. How are QS and PR related to each other? They're equal again. So 2y plus 8 equals 4y minus 2. Minus 2? Yep. Okay, y is 5. Okay, if y is 5, how long is one of the diagonals? 18. Okay, but in the problem it actually says we're looking for QT, which if you look at the picture is half of the diagonal. So if the whole diagonal is 18, then QT is 9. Quick trip. Is 24 hard?
Yes.
You haven't even read it, you guys. It's RT, QRT. You'll have to figure it out or ask. Sorry. 25. Read it first, do not ask first. They're not equal to each other, I'll tell you that. Same thing. This time it's a rhombus, though. What do we know about rhombus diagonals? They're perpendicular, they bisect the angles. Anyways. And all those little triangles in there have to be congruent. UY is blah blah blah, and YW is blah blah blah. What do we know about UY and YW? Well, they're half the diagonal, but how are they related to each other? UY and YW. How are UY and YW related? They're the same, yeah. They're just each half the diagonal. So 5 parentheses a minus 1 equals 2a plus 4. So if we have parentheses, we need to use the distributive property. Multiply the 5 on both of those. And if we have a's on both sides, we need to get rid of them on one side. We've done so many of these this year. Probably good so you don't forget all your algebra skills for next year. Okay, A is not really what they're looking for. They want UW. Okay, UW is the whole diagonal. This is like half the diagonal. So 2 times 3 plus 4 is 10. So if half the diagonal is 10, the whole diagonal is 20. $27. It says we're supposed to find angle 1 if angle 3 is blah blah blah. How are angle 1 and angle 3 related? They're the same. They're alternate interior angles, so they're the same. Okay, but they give us angle 3 stuff and angle UXW. UXW.
So 2 of the first one is.
Yeah. So because diagonals in a rhombus cut the angle in half, then angle 3 is half of angle UXW. Or another way to say it is angle 3 times 2 equals angle UXW. Got it? Angle 3 times 2, so 2 times 4c plus 6 equals angle UXW, which is 5 times c plus 9. C. It's a failed C. Yeah, it's a C. Okay. 11 is not the answer. Angle 1 is the answer. Angle 1 is the same as angle 3, and this right here, this part right here, is angle 3. So if I just put 11 in here, remember we said at the beginning 1 and 3 are the same angle. So if I put 11 right here, 4 times 11 is 44. plus 6 is 50 degrees. The end.